Nick Kyrgios, this controversial tennis player from Australia, who, yes, it's true, can captivate a crowd with his brilliant tennis skill and ability, but also can appall a crowd, can turn a crowd off, and certainly went some way to doing that yesterday at Wimbledon. He won his match against, I think it was Paul Jubb, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was playing yesterday. He won it in the end, 6-3, 1-6, 7-5, 7-6, 7-5. So it was a long drawn out affair. But there were instances in it that people turned away from when they watched the action unfold. There was swearing, there was spitting, there were tantrums. This man Kyrgios, what's he all about? He became upset with noise which was coming from the crowd, and he then took exception to it with the umpire.
There's spectators who spend money to come watch us play. They should be removed. Like, there's no pure disrespect like that. I don't go up to their face and go to their 9 to 5 and start clapping when they're scanning at a supermarket, do I? Like, oh, boo, yeah, well done, you can't scan nothing. Like, do I say that? No. They have no right to do that.
I agree with you.
So why does it keep happening? Do I turn around and just like...
But that's what I want to do. That's what they want you to see like this.
Yeah, I know, but you should just remove them from the crowd.
Not for this.
I think he said, I don't go up to them in a supermarket and boo them. So what? Go over it. And then the umpire, he spoke to the umpire, he said, you can't decide to talk to me in the middle of the point when I'm about to do a backhand. It can't be happening, bro. They can watch the tennis, but speaking and shouting out in the middle of the point, like, why? I don't know where it was. And then he took issue with the line judge.
Has one person today come to see her speak? No. Yeah, I understand, but why is she doing that? Not one person.
3 games to 2 for set.
Not one person in the stadium's come here to watch her do anything. Not one person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know you got fans, but she got none. She got none. What did I do? She just selfishly walks to you in the middle of the game, like, because she's a snitch. Like, come on now.
I don't know what to make of it. I mean, Simon, he calls the line judge a snitch, insisted one of the female officials had no fans. I mean, he should zip it and get on with it, shouldn't he?
See, I do and don't have a problem with some of that, right? Because I do think sometimes, you know, in sport, people can boo and hiss and shout people out of jobs. But if your bins weren't delivered very well and you went to a binman's boss and started screaming and shouting outside his place of work, people would soon be complaining about how they're treated. So I do, but of course it goes with the territory. It goes with the territory of being an elite sports person and all that goes with it. I do think that they have a right, tennis players. They don't have to be mutes. They do have a right to question. They do have a right to push back. There is a difference of the way that spectators are expected to behave in the confines of tennis. It isn't football, it isn't tribalistic, and there is an element of some of what he says I don't necessarily have a problem with. But what I do have a problem with is when he pushes the envelope beyond certain reasonable levels of complaint. If you're going to turn around and turn it into a bun fight, you know, and you're going to suggest that people aren't allowed to make mistakes, and you're going to make it personalised, and you're going to use childish, immature language, then you're going to be held consequences for it. If you go into a press conference with a very truculent, belligerent, and I would suggest, because I've watched a press conference, very arrogant attitude, then there's going to be a blowback. But you cannot spit at people. And his argument was, well, I didn't spit at somebody that was praising me. Well, to me, to some extent, and I'm going to be quite global in this is the embodiment of the modern-day sports person that has an entitled view of the world and doesn't believe that they're able to be criticised, doesn't believe that there's a consequence for their behaviours, and believes that they can say and do as they want. Now, I also do believe that there is an expectation of fans inside certain sports to behave in a certain way. We're talking about cricket yesterday, starting to get a bit concerned about some of the trouble in the terraces or in the stands because it's not what they're used to, right? And tennis comes from a different position, not some arrogant upper middle class position of people behaving a certain way, but there is an unfairness about players being booed in the middle of a shot. You wouldn't expect Tiger Woods to go on the golf course, stand on a tee, and someone boo him just as he's about to swing. Right? Because that wouldn't help the player's concentration.
Well, it happens at times, doesn't it, with the Ryder Cup? I think when you're talking,
and it's called out, and
people
don't like it.
Of course it is. But I think when you're going to Wimbledon and you're playing a
British player
on the centre court, you've got to accept a little bit of that. It's going to happen.
Yes, you do.
But for me, I mean, you look at him. He's 27 years old now. It's about time he grows up. And I like players, especially elite players, who've got a bit of personality and who give a little bit and push back.
Me too.
But spitting towards fans, listen, it was nowhere near the fan, but he looked at a fan and he spat in that direction. There's no call for that.
Yeah, he diminishes,
Absolutely
he diminishes
no
himself.
call for
He
that.
takes away any validity to his argument. Let's be clear. This is a mercurial talent. This is a player that should be in the top 5 of the world. And there is a reason why he's not.
He'll miss the boat.
Well, he's missed it. He's 27 years of age.
Well,
He's
if
done.
he doesn't sort his act out, he will miss
No,
the
he's
boat.
done. He's 27 years of age.
So who do you put that down to? Obviously, he's got to take responsibility, but what about his coaches? What about his parents? What about other people in his life?
You look at certain personalities, and some people are uncoachable in certain ways. Some people are unchangeable in other ways. And if you take away one part of their outlook, you lose another part of it. He has been a difficult thorn in the side of other players. He's very outspoken about his views on how other players should conduct themselves.
That's rich, isn't it?
And if you look back on his history, and there's allegations about him tanking, which he denied himself. Tanking is when tennis players give up on the court and just let it go. Right, and throw it away.
It gets difficult, and
he
they just
denied
throw
it
in.
emphatically,
Yeah.
and then 3 or 4 years later came out and said, "Actually, I have tanked." That is the kind of person that he is. He goes on a court.
Hugely unprofessional.
Well, it is unprofessional, but it's his gift to do what he wants.
I
Because it's his career.
actually don't agree with you, Sam, when you say this is the embodiment of the modern day superstar athlete, because I don't think you see a lot of this.
They cannot
I think this is strange.
You cannot
I
criticise.
think this is unusual.
If anybody is strident in criticism, if you're strident in praise, you'll not hear a peep from an athlete. Oh, I'll have all that. If you're strident in criticism, and criticism has to be fair, but if you are strident in criticism, that the moment that happens to the modern day sports person, they're up in arms.
No,
they
I disagree.
shouldn't be criticised. They should only be praised.
I think players that haven't changed, especially in football, when you play well, you don't need anyone to tell you you've played well. You know you've played well. And same goes for when you've not played so well. You'll get the criticism and you'll accept it because you'll know deep down when you look yourself in the mirror. They do, Simon.
They
do.
There is a
I mean,
constant...
it might be this great talent. So, I mean, Trevor played with Di Canio, and Paolo did a few things on the field of play, but he certainly was a mercurial talent. This guy's great, but he's still got it all to do if he's going to do something in the world of tennis.
Sport,
Of course it is, yeah.
But there's a difference between Paolo Di Canio and ultimately Nick Kyrgios. Nick Kyrgios plays in an individual sport where he's accountable to himself and he damages himself.
Yeah.
If Paolo Di Canio acts out and doesn't perform, he damages the team at the same time.
Yeah, but I've never seen Paolo act like that. And just going back to
saying we need characters, but we
need
do
characters,
but not of this sort.
Yeah,
and there's Brad saying somebody needs to give him a good hiding. This entitled little child.
Sportsman, if you're going to come out and start saying, listen, the official's too old, he can't see properly, why don't we get younger officials in? He's just disrespecting the sport.
Yeah,
he really is.
In the press conference, he graced the media with his presence. Was he eating during it, Simon? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but that's what a lot of athletes do. They do that now, and whether I think that's right or wrong,
I think it's wrong. Give the media your attention.
Well,
that's why you're there.
I think there's an element of them diminishing the media, and sometimes the media do need to be diminished. But there is an element of ultimately them going in there reluctantly doing press conferences because part and parcel of the territory.
And it's a tight schedule as well, Simon. So sometimes I think, if they
he
can
was
eat at the same time as doing the interview, then I can go and get for the rub.
The flip side of the argument is that without the media and the media interest in sports, these people wouldn't be getting paid the kind of money that they're getting. Because the media amplifies everything, brings it forward to a different level, and the broadcasters bring in the advertising revenue that pays the broadcast revenue.
Yeah, exactly, Simon.
But maybe he just doesn't understand
the
that.
media's job.
He understands.
The media's job is to ask Kyrgios questions, and Kyrgios' job post-match, having won his match, is to answer their questions. And one of the questions was, "Why did you spit?"
I'm been dealing with hate and negativity for a long time, so I don't feel like I owe that person anything. Like he literally came to the match to literally just not even support anyone really. It was more just to stir up and disrespect, and that's fine. But if I give it back to you, then that's just how it is.
But this is where I go to with the territory of hate. A stranger making observations about you isn't hate. It's something you can just ignore and ride above. And when you're the sort of person that goes onto a tennis court and says to Wawrinka, someone's been sleeping with your girlfriend in the middle of a game, right? I think you get back what you give out.
Totally.
So you've got a little bit of a hypocrisy about your own position.
Yeah.
And this idea that you're neck deep in hate, right, is to me a victim's complex, a persecution complex. People don't like people. Total strangers don't like me. They don't like Trevor. They don't like you. And quite frankly, I don't really care about their opinion. At the end of the day, they're entitled to it. I don't think I'm immersed in hate because someone disagrees with my views or takes a view that is diametrically opposed to mine or thinks I'm a Herbert because I did this, that and the other.
Well, you are a Herbert.
Well, that's probably true.
No, but you're right,
Trevor,
Simon.
because I have to
think
lower
you're
myself to
absolutely spot
Herbert
on.
level to be able to relate to you.
Simon, here's the thing. He's done what he's done yesterday. And I've got my own view of him.
Yeah.
You do too. Trevor does as well. Everybody listening this morning, no doubt, does as well. What should happen? And if he does it again, if he's allowed to carry on, which he will be, they're not going to kick him out. If he does it again, should they kick him out?
I think they have their own sanction rules, and I think they should follow them. I don't think they should be led by the media suggesting that he should be sanctioned beyond the parameters of what the rules currently exist as. If there are sanctions for behaviour that he has exhibited, those should be the ones that he faces. If it is that, spitting or whatever they are going to levy at him, because he's quite happy to admit that he's done it.
Yeah.
Right. So with that in mind,
for everybody to see.
With that in mind, it's not defensible. So he's going to suffer the consequences of it.
Yeah.
If the consequences are that he gets defaulted games, or by definition he gets points deducted, or by definition he goes into a situation where he's one strikeout and been kicked out of a tournament, that's what it is.
Well, let's see.
That's it.
Let's put it to the test. Adam Page, good morning to you, Adam. You're a regular contributor to this show, and we thank you for that. Nick Kyrgios should be kicked out of Wimbledon for his bullish, arrogant, spoilt child behaviour. He's giving tennis a very bad name. He is an embarrassment to the sport. Do you go with that? Is it time up for Kyrgios? Should they kick him out? Or if he offends again in a similar fashion, spitting, tantrums, swearing, should they kick him out? This is Wimbledon. This is Wimbledon, remember. Of course, built in tradition and dignity. It's a huge event. And Kyrgios, it would appear, is mocking the event as well as his opponent, as well as the fans.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.